Gavin, thanks for joining me. I'm Tim Laskus, and you're listening to The Tim Laskus Show. This is episode 86 with Gavin Zuchlinski. Gavin is the founder of Acuity Scheduling, which is the coolest way to automate and manage your appointments online. No longer do you have to go back and forth with potential people who you want to meet and have meetings with and say, do you have Tuesday open at 8, or what about Wednesday at 6, or Thursday at 5? No, this is all automated with Acuity Scheduling. You just send them the link and the person fills it out themselves, and you get a notice when they've scheduled. It is so cool. And Gavin has a great story of building this 8-figure business while he had at the time a full-time job. Can you believe it? And he didn't even know if he wanted to quit his job. He liked his job so much. So he has a great story. So enjoy this episode.
The Tim Laskus Show, in search of entrepreneurial gold. Tim digs deep into the minds of his guests. Entertaining, down to earth, and informative. Now, here's your host, Tim Laskus.
Hi, Gavin. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having me on here.
Hey, it's a pleasure. Now, you were telling me that you like drinking wine and coffee. So if you had to choose one, which one are you going for?
Oh, man. I think if I were to keep working, I must choose coffee. Without that, I would be a goner.
It keeps you going, huh?
Yeah, it does. And especially now, I am like just totally geeking out about it. I just moved from New York City to Pennsylvania. And now that I have the space, I've been trying to fill it with things. And there was not much good coffee around here. So I even started roasting my own beans and everything. So I am just totally the coffee nerd right now.
Well, you got to be dedicated if you're out there roasting your own beans.
I know. Well, you need good stuff. The fresher it is, the better that it tastes.
There you go. Absolutely. Well, Gavin, tell the listeners a little bit about yourself professionally. What are you currently working on?
Yeah, so right now my life is absolutely consumed with Acuity Scheduling. That's an online tool to help small businesses offer and manage appointments online. So I've been with this for quite a while. Since around 2007 was when it was started as more as a side project than anything else, and ended up transitioning to be my full-time job. And now it's just been growing more and more and more. And actually just finished hiring a couple more folks. So we're up to around 23 people in the company. And it's absolutely growing really fast and still tons of fun.
Well, that's excellent. How did you come up with this idea of developing an online scheduling system?
Yeah, so my mom, she's a massage therapist, and there was a time when we were in the car together. We were riding along Route 80, which is a gorgeous road for a couple of miles, but then it gets boring. You're surrounded by trees on both sides with a long, pretty much straight road. So we got to chatting, and in between all of that, she got a couple of phone calls from clients just asking to schedule appointments or cancel and change them, and I knew that there had to be a better way. She was hearing about Aunt Tilly's kidney stones and all the reasons that people had to change their appointments, and it wasn't really quality time flipping through an appointment book. So I came up with Acuity. First, tried to find something out there that would work for her, and there was really nothing at the time where things were really, really overpriced. So I built Acuity for her and for other people to just let their clients book their own appointments, manage them, and hopefully take care of the whole rigmarole that goes around it. And then since then, it's grown from her to now tens of thousands of other businesses all around the world doing all sorts of things that I would never have expected, having just built it for somebody like herself. So it's been a really surprising journey too.
Well, that's excellent. So I guess you're good with coding. Did you start out actually building it yourself, or did you?
Yeah, absolutely. I am definitely a tech geek too. So my background is definitely in development. I'm a coder by nature, so that was something that I did on my own. For as far as building it, the first version and everything totally on my own. I still even do development on it, and everything was created by myself back in the day. What I'm not good at though is design. So I've had to that was some of my first hires to help, and contractors to help me with that part of it. But yeah, I think I'm really thankful that I had the tech skills, because that allowed me to build something pretty reasonably, and then also because I answered all the support emails and everything else. It gave this just this really nice tight feedback loop from hearing about customer complaints and concerns to directly implementing and improving things. So that constant iteration, I think, wouldn't have been possible without me on the front lines, both helping customers and then also being able to build it too.
Now, what sets your company apart from some of the other scheduling companies that are out there online?
Yeah, totally. So there are definitely, back then, there weren't that too many. Now there are definitely tons of them, and all of them have their different, strengths and weaknesses. And when I'm looking at them, there are some that are really more of a glorified contact form that lets you pick a date and time, but doesn't really do much else. As some of them do every single trick in the book and everything else. So with Acuity, my real focus is something in between there that's beautiful, simple, easy to use, and then can also really help automate your business. So along with just being able to schedule an appointment, the goal is to help take away all the logistics that go around managing appointments so you can spend more time doing what you love. So with Acuity, that means being able to set up whatever crazy complex rules you need to set your availability so that you can put everything on autopilot. Customers can find the date and times that you're available, pick their appointment, make sure that doesn't double book or anything else, and connects with your calendars, iCal, Outlook, Google Calendar, whatever you use. Also create custom intake forms that you can collect all the information that you need before somebody shows up for their appointment, have them pay, or anything else, and then also connect it with all of your other tools. So I love the scenario too when you have, say, like a team of folks working on something, and you can have your clients go on there, pick a date and time for their appointment, fill out, say, all the information for them as a lead, have that automatically connected to your CRM or your mailing list program. If you're doing a remote meeting, have it automatically create the meeting in Zoom or GoToMeeting, have that included in all of the emails and everything else, have them actually be able to pay in advance for it, and get reminders and text messages and all of that so that they show up. And all of that is nice and taken care of automatically for you. So when you're dealing with a client, you can really focus on them, and hopefully none of that other rigmarole that goes around actually booking it.
Now, it sounds like you have all the bells and whistles on this program. And what was your marketing strategy in the beginning? How did you get your company's name out there so that people would find you?
Yeah, and Acuity, like I mentioned, was a side project to start out as. So I had a day job that I really loved, and Acuity was more of the passion thing on the side. And then it did end up growing, and so until in 2013, I had to take it full time. But to get it to that point when it was growing was sort of two different real strategies at the time. The first one was I built it because I loved building something and creating something that was useful for people. So above all, it was creating something and then talking directly with customers. And then I think thanks to that, people loved it. So I did very little marketing itself at the beginning, and mostly it was just word of mouth between folks. I did try a little bit to get some press and things like that, and really didn't get any from the big places. Where I eventually did find success, though, was trying to find small blogs and other sites that had either talked about competitors or other similar software. I saw you have a blog for massage therapists and you mentioned MailChimp on there. Hey, we have this tool that sort of hits a similar market, helps appointment scheduling, would you like to write about it? And that's what was really successful, not going after any of the big sites, but actually just going after the small blogs. And then from there, we'd get a couple of folks who would sign up, and then just turning it into word of mouth. And it grew quite a bit from that before eventually, switching to more traditional channels like paid advertising and all of that. But even now, our biggest growth and how we gain customers is through referrals from other folks too.
Well, that's great. Well, it sounds like it was kind of a slow kind of building the foundation process and let it take off on its own. So how many years from when you kind of in the very beginning started as a side project to when you went full time, how many years was that?
Oh, that was about 6 years. And to be honest, I really loved my full-time job. So I absolutely could have left and done it full-time sooner, but I really didn't want to. I enjoyed doing Acuity, but I really loved my day job as well. So when I eventually did need to make the decision of which one do I go for, which I obviously chose Acuity, it was a tough one. If I could absolutely do both and still keep Acuity growing and being able to help as many people as it does now without needing to dedicate as much time, I would absolutely love to. But there's no way to keep the momentum going without having dedicated so much time to it.
Yeah, for sure. And kind of what are your goals for 2018 as far as, growth and maybe gross income that you're going to bring in?
Well, those are definitely confidential numbers, but we've been we've been doubling every year, and we'll be in the 8 figures. But it's been growing nice and quickly, and we're hiring a few more folks as well. Like I mentioned, we're coming up to a head count of around 23 folks. And one thing that I really love is that we're able to keep growing and to rapidly grow without necessarily proportionally increasing the staff size too, which is phenomenal for a business. And I truly believe that, I don't know, a lot of businesses seem to find like headcount as a vanity metric of how successful you are. And the one thing that I'm really proud of is that we're able to keep it so low and aggressively try to keep things low as far as the headcount and still keep growing the business itself too.
Sure. Now, is your team mostly virtual, or do you have one office that everyone goes to?
Yeah, we're totally remote. So we've got an office. We still have our office in New York, but it's vacant right now.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
so everybody is remote. We've got folks from Greece and Scotland, Pennsylvania, Seattle. There's folks everywhere right now, and I think it's really fun. Since a majority of the company is customer support, being able to have folks all around the country and all around the world helps us keep time zone coverage and keep everybody happy. You don't have to work crazy hours. You don't have to commute. So I find it so much more effective that way.
Well, that's excellent. Now, do you have any tips for the listeners who are thinking about growing their own kind of, virtual team where they don't have an office, but they're trying to manage, different things, people in different countries? Is there anything that you've learned along the way that you could share that would be helpful?
Oh, yeah. So I think above all, you sort of have to decide which way you want to go, either in person or in an office, mix or remotely. Mixing those two don't really work that well. So we've decided from the very beginning to go 100% remote. And because of that, we're really thankful that now there's all the technology we use like Slack and Google Hangouts and Zoom and everything, and try to get the day-to-day. But I think from the very beginning, one of the most important things is to just hire for personality and hire for trust. So when we have people apply, we have them, instead of just doing a regular job posting, actually do a love letter so I can see their writing and see their personality come through. Because when you are working remotely, you don't get like the casual banter like in an office. You kind of have to work for it a little bit. So being able to hire people who, one, are motivated and you trust to work remotely makes it a lot easier since they don't need as much hand holding. And then two, that have, the kind of personality you're looking for, somebody that you'd be happy to hang out with and somebody that you can chat, because what keeps people around in a company generally isn't, how much money they're making or anything else. It's the coworkers that help to retain employees. So you do have to work a little bit towards that. And so we've done the hiring the right folks is totally issue number one with doing remote. Somebody that you trust and hiring for personality above all else that we found works the best. And then two, make sure that you still stay connected in some ways too. So using things like Slack for chat is phenomenal, since you can, just casually chat and quickly do things too. So even if you're working on your own, like just heads down in an email inbox, you're still able to like tap a coworker on the shoulder virtually and do that, or quickly do a video hangout. And we still do videos meetings every day. We have a standard like 1 p.m. Eastern meeting time. That way people can get the, face-to-face that you still know that everybody else is around and everybody else is a human. And all of those things need to work for a little bit too. So just have people check in and out every day, since you don't see them like walking into the office too. So you do have to make an extra effort towards that. And then we also periodically get together in person, which is just fun to re-energize everybody and actually get to see people and connect a little bit more in real life, so that when you go back online, you feel like you know them a little bit better. And for us, we've done retreats all around from New York and San Francisco, and we actually just finished up one in July for where we all got together down in Puerto Rico too. So that was really fun. But it does take a little extra effort to go beyond and keep a company feeling like a friendly place when you're remote. But in the end, I think that it's completely worth it for the productivity gains and everything else.
Well, it sounds like Acuity is a great place to work, and I love that you're able to bring people together in person, although they're working remotely, and I think that's so important, because then they really get to connect to the people on the other side. Now, Gavin, when did you really kind of understand or see the light that you were an entrepreneur? How early in age? When did this all begin?
I'm totally thankful that I have people in my family, like my father, who's a chef and started his own restaurant, and my mom, who's a massage therapist and started her own business, and other family members too that have done their own. So being entrepreneurial wasn't anything scary. It was a very familiar thing. It wasn't none of my relatives or anybody else was really tied to one of those traditional corporate jobs. So it was never anything frightening. And actually from, I think like when I was, 14 or so, 13, I was actually doing web design and development work for folks on a contract basis too. So I had started it back then, and creating something like Acuity I had the technical skills to do. So when it actually came time for it, my business side of my brain is definitely secondary to my technical one. So I think because of that, I was much more comfortable with the slow growth of Acuity and the comfort of it. But from the background to having all my relatives and having done development work and charging people for everything too made me a lot more comfortable to eventually take the step and do Acuity on my own.
Well, it sounds like probably that entrepreneurial, the spirit was in your DNA from very, very young, and especially having all these people in your family. Mm-hmm. So now let's move into the dig round, and so I'm going to ask you some questions, and just don't put a lot of thought into it, but just kind of tell me what comes to mind. What keeps you motivated daily?
Oh, being happy. So 100% in my business, I'm not trying to optimize for revenue or growth or anything else. What I'm trying to optimize for is personal happiness. And that's why I do try to keep the headcount low in the staff and being totally honest with what makes me happy in the work, so that I can enjoy doing it day in and day out and keep things going for a decade.
Excellent. Now, who do you look up to as a business leader?
Oh my gosh, there's so many folks. I really love actually just Warren Buffett in general, because he truly loves what he does, and comes at it at an altruistic way too, where he's brutally honest about how lucky he is and how lucky he is to have a job that he loves and and puts his heart into it too.
Oh, yes. Now, if you have to choose one, street smarts or book smarts, which one is for you?
Oh man, this feels like a trick question, because how can you really choose
You can
just
only choose
one? Oh man, I don't know. I want to say street smarts, but I gotta say I didn't have that much. So for me personally, book smarts was better. Having the technical skills was definitely a book smarts thing. Putting them into practice took street smarts, but I was able to get to that point from all the technical background and learning that I had done.
Okay, so the books really gave you your footing. Now, looking back, since you started Acuity, was there a time when you were mentally just drained and you thought, oh my goodness, I don't know if I can carry on, or I don't know if this is going to work? Can you share an experience like that?
That definitely comes up I feel like if you don't hit that point at least once a year, there's something not quite right with your business. So although I do absolutely love Acuity and I try not to get things to grow because I love it so much, it keeps growing, and that growth definitely keeps leading to those pain points. I think probably the most pivotal one was around 2013 when I had to make the decision to leave my day job, because I absolutely love my day job and I love doing Acuity too. But it did get to that point when I was working 8 to 10 hour days with my day job with a couple hour commute on top of it, and then coming home and working on Acuity for another 4 to 6 hours. And generally that was just trying to answer emails from all of the people that were that had signed up and were trying to give great support, because I want people to have a great experience too, and that means supporting them. But that got really draining. I would be in my hour commute from the suburbs around Washington, D.C. back into Washington, D.C. proper when I lived there. I would be on my iPhone while driving, trying to respond to emails and everything, and practically almost crashing into the people in front of me. It was definitely not really safe, but I did it because I wanted people to have the best experience. But I was totally drained by that until it got to the point when I realized something has got to change. I tried hiring somebody before I even left my day job just to help with some of the support, but you can't really hire somebody if you're not willing to support them all the time too. So that didn't work as well as I had hoped. So it did force me to the point where I was like, man, I got to make a decision. Do I need to end one of these? Do I stick with the day job that I absolutely love, or do I stick with Acuity where I can grow it in whatever direction I want? Because doing both of these is 100% completely draining, and I obviously chose Acuity.
Yeah, so it sounds like you had to give up something, and that was the right choice for you to help get your schedule within reason, so you're not so stressed out. Now, what would you say has been one of the most fulfilling moments of this journey with Acuity?
So what makes me the happiest is actually just seeing people using Acuity and seeing the software being used. I think it's the little moments, like when my wife, when we were in New York City, was looking for an acupuncturist, and we were looking around at a couple of sites, found one that she absolutely loved, and then seeing that they used Acuity to manage their schedule just tickled my heart. It was great seeing somebody who had found what I created and actually implemented it and was using it to run their business, and then having that strike close to home for me. I still love all of those experiences when I see it out there.
Oh, that's excellent. Well, Gavin, unfortunately, we've come to the end of the show, but before we go, tell the listeners where they can find your website and any other places on social media that you're currently at.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell you what, I will put up a link at acuityscheduling.com/Laskus. That's ACUITY scheduling.com/Laskus, where you can find my contact information, everything else. And if you're interested in signing up and trying out Acuity, there'll be a special link on there to get an extended 45-day trial instead of our normal 14-day one too.
Awesome. That is incredible. Well, thank you, Gavin. It's been a lot of fun. I appreciate your time, and I look forward to watching Acuity continue to grow.
Excellent. Thank you for having me on here.
Thank you.
Want more entrepreneurial tips? Go to timlaskus.com.